Hey guys, welcome to the Outlook podcast. My name is Aaliyah and I'm super excited to be here today. I actually have a very, very special guest. I would call her my best friend.
What?
Yeah. Her name's Maddy.
What's up, y'all?
I call her Mad Dog. Actually, I don't.
No,
People
you
call her
don't.
that. People call her that. But I'm super excited to have her here. Maddy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So the three things that I get to summarize myself, and I think they're hysterical.
Oh, Lord,
she probably knows them.
I do.
Christ, coffee, cats.
And cats, yeah.
Yeah, so I hate to say that because it is cheesy, but it's like, I'm about to tell you about myself and you're going to be like, all right, yeah.
Maddy
Christ,
loves cats. I don't know why. I'm not a cat person, but to each his
you
own.
just haven't met mine.
I have met her cats, and they're okay.
You didn't know how to hold it. I think it's because you were holding her like this. Rather than just a cat,
my body
rather than just holding a cat. But a little bit about me, I'm 22. I do have 3 cats. It is my T-Swift year, I love it. I have 3 cats. I work for Our Savior's Church and serve at the Midtown campus. I just got hired at Jet Coffee. I have some of my Jet Coffee friends here.
Free coffee.
Free coffee off the budget.
You got a free coffee? I get one too?
No.
Okay.
I do though.
If it ain't free, it ain't me. That's what I say.
True, respect. But yeah, pretty much my life right now is working, serving, hanging out with friends. I really do love getting coffee with people.
Yeah.
And
Jet Coffee.
Jet Coffee.
Because you work there now.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's cool. What's your favorite coffee from there?
I am hooked on the Ice Bomber right now with the extra shot.
Okay.
I let our pastor try it the other day, Pastor David, and he said he gave it the approval.
Ice Bomber.
And he drinks black coffee.
Oh, wow.
So he gave it approval.
Okay. All right.
Pretty
Bet.
good.
Bet. How many cats you got?
3.
What's their names? No, she loves talking about them.
I do. Nina, Kali, and Phoebe.
Oh.
Yes.
I like Phoebe.
Phoebe's nice.
It reminds me of what's that show?
Friends.
Friends, yes. Duh.
So I never watched Friends, but I knew of Phoebe's personality.
Right.
So I was like, Phoebe.
Cats
and she
have
literally looks like
personalities.
Phoebe. Like she acts like Phoebe off of Friends.
Okay. I didn't know cats had personality. I thought they were just yeah.
Oh, I heard that.
I thought they were just
No, they do meow, yes. But they are playful and they look out the window and they purr and maybe that is all they do.
Yeah. I'm like, but all right. Hey. They do have some mean cats, so I guess they
do
have some type of personality.
And mad respect if you have a bad story with them and that's why you hate cats.
Yeah.
I get it.
I just think they're weird. Like, I don't like when people cook with their cats. I just think that's nasty. Like, that's why I don't eat from everybody, if I'm being completely honest, because sometimes they be letting their cats like walk on the counters and like
cats kind of just do what they want. So it's not that they just do what they want.
Right.
Then you clean up after them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not my type of animal.
But you gonna change the diaper?
Yeah, because that's my kid though.
Yeah, but
that's
you clean it up
kid.
after.
That's a child.
Yeah, it's poop. Sorry.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm not a cat person, but Maddy loves cats.
I do.
And that's awesome. I love it. But I want to ask you some questions today. I want the people to get to know you, but also I want them to get some perspective on just how you think, you know? And Maddy's 22, as you all know that. And yeah, why not? Let's just say it. You're 22 and single, baby.
22 and single.
22 and single. How is the single life? I haven't experienced it in like 5 years now. Shout out to my husband. But what is the single life like? How are you enjoyed it? You know how you enjoyed it?
I just didn't expect that question. Because it's like singleness, I feel like we kind of put on a front about it.
Okay.
And we're all like, oh, I'm great.
Right.
But the reality is I'm 22. I live by myself. My bank account's hanging in there. I don't travel the world yet. I don't go to the beach ever.
Yeah.
So at first, singleness sucked.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I stepped into a healthiness with God and I stepped into getting my life back in order. And it was like that first few months of healthiness, you're like, where the babes at? I'm good now.
Hey.
And God's like, no, you're not.
What baby you talk about, girl?
Yes. So I think the first few months I had an expectation of giving my life back to the Lord,
right,
and instantly being like ready to go and good. And then in the next few months after that, it was a continuous refining process. It still is.
Yeah.
But I had to get to the ends of myself and say, like, am I really content with singleness, or am I just telling people I am? And it turns out I was just telling people I am, because when I would go home, it was like straight misery. That's like in a place that shouldn't be.
Right. Like when people ask you, how are you doing? I'm good.
Right.
And you're probably dying inside.
Right. So, and you're just like, how do I, like, you think I'm good, so how do I tell you I'm not?
Yeah.
But I actually went to my pastor and I was like, hey, what does like being content really mean? Or can you tell me like maybe what it looked like in your life?
Yeah.
And then he was like, are you talking about singleness? And I was like,
right.
Yes. And so we ended up talking about it. And something I had to realize was God's goodness isn't based off of my relationship status. And so I kind of sat with that and I was like, God, I'm not going to tell you you're great when I get a boyfriend. Like that's not going to be when your goodness is shown. Your goodness is shown now, and I have a mission now.
Yeah.
And actually I have a scripture that really I cling to. Yeah, look, so some about me, I'm gonna pull out the scripture, because if I try to repeat what I know, it's gonna be wrong. Okay, it's gonna be so wrong. But it's 1 Corinthians 7:32, and it's Paul speaking. And he talks about like being married and being unmarried. And one of his last verses he says is, I'm saying this for your benefit, not to place restrictions on you. I want you to do whatever will help you serve the Lord best with as few distractions as possible. And it's like oftentimes we're like, oh, I want to read the scriptures about being married.
Right.
But Paul is saying like marriage is great, singleness is great, but regardless, you need to do what serves the Lord best without distractions.
That's good.
So if that means me dating is a distraction, then I'm not serving the Lord to the best of my capability.
Do you think that in your life, or even in other people's lives, have you seen that dating could be a distraction?
It definitely can be if you are not ready. And it sucks to say that, because we're all like, well, what does it mean to not be ready?
That's
like,
what I'm about to ask you. Like, how do you even know?
Right.
You know?
And it's not perfection. So if by any means someone thinks, oh, well, now she's talking like someone has to be perfect to be ready. No. But there is self-control in play. There is self-discipline in play. There is stewardship in play. So it's like, I'm ready when I can offer you my best. Not perfection. I'm not offering you my perfection.
Right.
I'm offering you my best.
That's
and
good.
My best on a good day and my best on a bad day.
That's good.
And I think you have to be real with yourself. That's how you can find out if you're ready. Like you can ask me, well, are you like, I'm not saying I gotta be financially rich to start dating, but if you look at me and say, well, do you think your finances are in a place right now?
Right. Because
$2 in my bank account ain't in a place, boo.
You're not ready, Maddy.
Yeah.
Because that's in the finance speaking, right?
Right.
The whole goal. My personal goal, right? My goal when I dated was to marry.
Right.
Like I'm not out here trying to like waste time with nobody.
Right.
Like I'm wasting your time, I'm wasting my time, and I'm wasting your time. Like my goal is to marry you. So yes, financially you need to be ready. I'm not saying that you need to have $5,000 set aside to have a wedding ready. I'm not saying that.
But you need to have the self-discipline that if I go in the store, I like the shirt, I'm not gonna buy it because I know what I'm saving this money for.
Exactly.
And that's just self-control.
Yeah.
Self-control.
So,
and then I feel like people don't realize, and I say people, me, I didn't realize in singleness, self-control in one area, as simple as finances, means self-control and purity as well. Because that's just self-control.
Tell me about that.
If I'm able to learn self-control in one area, that's developing a discipline. So I'm carrying myself in a way that is disciplined. So when I walk into something else, discipline won't be foreign to me when it comes into purity.
Right.
Because it's knowing, okay, I have to make a choice, and in this choice, I have to follow through. And that means saying no to certain things. As simple as saying no to a cute t-shirt at Ross.
Right. Or
it means, hey, saying no to you hanging
whatever.
out at my house at 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah. So there's self-control in all aspects of life.
All aspects.
What do you think is your hardest area of life that you struggle when it comes to self-control?
Oh, finances.
$2 in her account.
And it's such a learning lesson. I will fully repent of my sins in front of you guys. I have to get a budget. My friend Abby just bragged to me about her starting a budget, and it's time. I've kind of did one.
Yeah.
And
do you follow it is the question.
And that's the thing. So also, quit your jobs and get a coffee shop job if you spend money on coffee, because clearly that's the answer. But no, just sticking to that, and I don't need it. I have a fully furnished apartment. I have everything I need.
There's a difference between a need and a want.
Right.
I'm telling you, CJ tells me this all the time. I'm like, hey, I need to go to the store because I need some nail polish. And he's like, you want some
baby,
nail
your nails
polish?
look just as good on mine.
There's a difference between a need and a want.
Yes.
So I 100% agree. 100% agree.
It's being real.
Yes.
It's looking yourself in the mirror and saying, that is a want, Maddy Landry. That is a want. You don't need a fourth cat. You want it. Kidding, I won't get a fourth cat. But
Please don't.
I will.
But yeah, man, you talked about your singleness, and sometimes when it comes to being single, I found it hard to kind of like what you said, control your self-control. And sometimes whenever we don't have self-control, we sin, right? Like, and I don't want you, when I say sin, like, I mean, that could be crossing a boundary. That could be watching something that you shouldn't watch. That could be having somebody over that you shouldn't have over. So like in your singleness, in your season of singleness, how do you make sure you fight the temptation to sin? Because temptation is going to come. Right. It comes in when you're married. It comes when you're single. It comes whenever. Like, but how do you fight that temptation to want to sin in your single season?
That's so good. So I think I'm gonna give you like wholeheartedly Maddy.
Yeah, let's lay it out.
And this is from like, I can say like, oh, this is my experience. Like, this is me now.
Right.
I have the privilege, but I don't want to make it sound like I'm just lucky on me, because I've took the steps to do it too, of being around people who have created an environment for me to literally process every thought. And I think there comes learning with that, like what thoughts I can process within myself, but what needs to be vocalized. And I think when you begin to open your mouth and truly like around the right people, and let me give an example of right people. That's pastors, that's for me, women in the church, that's leaders in the church, people I serve alongside that I have recognized they're higher in their walk than I am. And just telling them like, hey, this is what I struggle with, or hey, I felt this type of way when I watched this movie. It might not even be a bad movie. It could be a romance movie, totally clean, like cheesiest Hallmark movie ever. But I'm like, now I'm longing, and in the sadness of longing for a relationship, and now it's distracting me. Now it's pulling me out of the joy. It's stealing me from the joy that I know God has in my singleness. And so it's vocalizing those things to where they're like, I've been there, I've done that, or I haven't been there, done that, but I know this person has. Let me connect you with them.
That's good.
And then walking you through that. I really can't think of any other way, because every time I felt something, I have called a mentor and said, help me. Like, what do I, not even help me, like, hey, is this normal? What do I do? Like,
I like that you said you've called a mentor, because sometimes it's easy for us to go to our friends who are on the same level as us, who may not have any wisdom in the area that we're struggling in, and they give us the answers that we want. Like when I used to date I was in a toxic relationship, and I knew that there were friends that could help me, and I knew that there were friends that would like give me the answer I want. And I'm not gonna sit up and lie. I would go to the friends who would give me the answer.
We all do. Sometimes we all do. There's points. There's times where we're all guilty of that.
Right. So I think it's important that we do make sure that we go to people, like you said, who has the wisdom in the area, and who is biblically sound. Because if you want a biblical answer, go to somebody who knows the Bible. If you want a worldly answer.
And something Dr. Scott said, he said, why hang out with where you're weak? Why hang out with someone else who's weak in that area? That doesn't mean you can't be friends with them.
For sure.
But that means, okay, where I'm weak, I'm going to find someone who's strong.
That's good.
Because I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to learn from them. It's that simple. I'm going to ask them and get their wisdom and their insight.
That's good. How do you know who you should hang around? Like, how do you choose your friends? Because I mean, it's easy.
This is a good question.
How do you choose your friends to make sure that you're not just staying level with people, but you also have those people in your life that does have more knowledge and more wisdom that you need in your life? Like, how do you decipher who to choose?
This is still like, even I feel like you're gonna learn this all your life, because who I hang out with now, I don't know what 20 years is gonna look like. There's new people always gonna come into my life, but I will say, I've worked all my life in a secular job, and I still do, and I work at the church now for the church, and you're gonna meet everyone, and it's the coolest thing ever. It's the coolest privilege. But I think when it comes to being friends with someone, I think it's one, identifying what you're giving them, what you're telling them, what you're pouring out to them, what you're letting them in on, and then kind of going from there. So then what you're getting from them, and then what that conversation looks like. So I might tell you truly what I'm struggling with, but I have to identify and be mature enough to know the girl I just met at my restaurant job may not be on the page to hear what I'm walking, like what I'm going through. Or if she really doesn't even know God, she's going to take things without context, not without context.
Yeah.
So I think you have to identify where you're at, where that person's at, and what conversations and behaviors are pointing to the Lord and what aren't.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I'm navigating still in life right now. It's like, I know my friends who we're all kind of on that same wavelength. Like, we're like all pretty much in the same season. We kind of know the same mentors. We're under the same pastors. Like, so I know those are my friends because we're all in communication all the time.
So what would you consider those people who aren't on the same level as you? Would you say that's an associate? Would you say that's a friend? Like, how would you distinguish that? Because we have friends who aren't necessarily on the same level as us. You know what I'm saying?
I would say, if they are a friend and I know what they mean to me, I would say I just have to really walk in prepared and ready to lead instead of sit on that same, ready to pull them up if they need to be pulled up. You do that with your friends too, but it's also like, if you are being weak around me, I want to make sure I'm pulling you up where I'm strong.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to say this so clearly because it's like I'm still learning this too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking based off of your experience.
Yeah.
I know that, like you said, you've gone through different seasons of lives, not lives. You have no life, but you've gone through different seasons, and through those different seasons, like, you meet different people. So it's like, how do I know how to pick and choose? You know what I'm saying? But like you said, it's knowing and identifying what can I share with this person,
right? Because
if we're being honest, like, we can't. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, like, I can't talk to you about my marriage,
right? And
it's not that it's a big secret, but it's like, Maddie, how can you help me?
What am I going to contribute to?
Thank you.
That is so good. And that's big too. It's like, what are you contributing to?
Yeah.
It's, if you're not building up or growing closer to Christ in that friendship, then it's not a healthy friendship. It isn't something that should be happening.
So this is my question to you now. If you saying, like, if you're not building up, or if we're not, like, helping each other grow, like, is the friendship even necessary?
Right. So I've had people in college who it was the weirdest transition of my life. I did 3 years of a secular college, and it was a great 3 years in the meaning I don't regret it.
Right.
Of course, I don't regret, but I would redo if I could some of the choices and decisions I made.
Yeah, we all right in there.
Yes. And so the people I met I love, but there came an understanding of, hey, we just don't live the same. Yeah. I don't go to the bars anymore. I don't drink, I don't party, I don't do that because that's not who I am. I'm made new. I surrendered that, laid that down at the cross, and I'm living for the Lord fully now.
Right.
And it's not that it's not essential, because hey, if you need me, you need to call me for prayer, please call me. Yeah. If I can serve you in any way, my heart is to serve you.
Right.
I'm not gonna drop everything. Sometimes I can't. Like, it's just like we haven't talked in 3 years. I'm not gonna say I know you like I used to.
Yeah.
But I'm not pushing you away or saying I don't want to hear from you, because if you want to text me life updates, please text me life updates.
For sure.
If you want me to pray for you, if you want me to give you advice on something, please call me. But it's knowing, like, that's kind of where it is.
Yeah. So understanding that, like, I'm here for you if you need.
Right.
But we're not about to be hanging out in the same. Like, I'm not gonna hang out where you hang out.
Yeah.
No shade to where you hang out, but it's just that's not
and it's not even a you thing. Like, I just don't want to be around it because that don't
help me out.
That's temptation. Like, that's not helping me at all.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing you can do is totally push someone away and say, like, no, I'm just not like you anymore.
Because then you become the person who's like, I'm better than you.
Yes, and we're not better than we're different.
Right.
So let me show you by the choices I make that I'm not putting myself around something. But I would love to meet halfway at a coffee shop and get coffee. If you can't handle that, maybe dinner. If you can't handle that, well then, hey, text me if you need me. But I can't do that.
Would you say that you invite those people into your area? Like, do you think that that's safe to do? You know, invite them into your environments? That
Absolutely.
You
And there's certain environments. I think my first instinct is always instinct. I forgot the T.
Instinct.
We'll
figure it out.
Sorry.
I think it's I.
Anyways, me neither. Anyways, I think my first choice is not choice, but my first kind of where I'm like, where would be best? It's like a sub 30. Sub 30 is our young adults. Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask that. I was like, they don't know what sub 30 is. Sub 30 is our young adult ministry, so it's kind of just like a church service.
So it's OSC's young adult ministry.
Yes. Okay. Sorry, did forget a detail there.
Yeah, it's like who's our? But it's OSC.
Me and my cats.
It's OSC's young adult ministry.
Yes.
What do y'all do there?
So it's literally like a church service, but for young adults.
Okay.
So it's so cool because it's like you're surrounded by people in the same time of life.
Yeah.
Majority, like it may not be everyone on the same journey in a way or same experience, but you're gonna find someone there that is or has had been through it.
Right.
So that's always my first thing is like, let me bring you to a place where one, you're not the only new person because there's gonna be other new people.
Right.
And that it's kind of just church. It's not like I'm like, not come hang out at my house. Like it's literally just church. It's neutral. It's common.
The cool thing is it doesn't feel like it's church.
Right.
Like a normal.
Right.
I guess you could say like go to church service. It's a little different.
Yeah, and it's literally you're connecting with people your age, around your age.
Right.
So that's always my first go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's someone I know, like if one of my friends that I haven't seen in a few years would text me, if I have a game night and I text my friends, hey, I'm bringing this person, y'all tell her, hey, y'all get to know her, y'all love her, then I would do something on, like, if I knew their personality.
Right.
Because I know she's not gonna come in anxious because I know her. Yeah. She's just gonna come in and kind of sit back and listen and observe.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say please bring them.
So you want to make sure that you're like I said earlier, like you want to make sure that you're not going in their environments, because then that'll tempt you to sin. But you want to bring them into your environments, because it's kind of like this. It's like if I was standing on this chair and you were on the ground, and you had 5 of your friends with you. It's much easier for you to pull me down with 5 of your friends. Yeah. Than if it's just you and me, and if it's me and Maddie, then it's like, okay, I can easily help you. I can easily pull you up to where I am. Yeah. So surrounding yourself in environments that doesn't tempt you, but can also help that person grow, or even get a different perspective or something like that.
And I know the environment I'm inviting you to has the Holy Spirit wrapped around them all.
Right. I don't know what you be doing.
So and I'm like, you may come and not even connect with me. You may connect with someone else, or hey,
which is great.
If you don't come at all, we'll try again, and you might end up coming another day and having a whole better connection.
Yeah. So sometimes I find it's hard to continuously invite people who don't want to come.
Yeah. That is a struggle.
Like, when do you draw the line?
When do you draw the line? Yeah, I would say give it a few times. And I don't think drawing the line means I don't like you or I'm mad you didn't say yes. But it's okay, you said no enough, I got the hint. But also leave that open invitation. Hey, anytime you want to know something about Sub 30 or wherever.
And it doesn't even have to be anything with like a specific event, like it could be like come hang out at a game night or whatever, like,
or go get coffee. Hey, some people are like yeah, like I'll go get coffee, let's catch up. Right. Hey, when you available? ... Like never, like you never hear from them. I think it's being available until you can, of doing the invites, and then just leaving it to where it's like whenever you're ready, let me know. Right. And moving on.
Yeah, that's really.
There's more people to reach.
That is true. Always, my go-to saying is, if they're faithful, if they're available, and if they're teachable, hey.
If they're fat.
Okay? It's an acronym. But I always go for those people because it's like, all right, hey, look, you want to grow, I want to grow, let's do this together. Yeah. You know?
Like, that's my heart. I'm willing. You're willing, I'm willing. Let's
We're both willing.
Chase, let's go.
Exactly.
That's good.
I got one last question for you.
All right.
How do you what are the qualities of a good friend? Like, how do you reciprocate that to someone else?
So how do I be a good friend?
Yeah, like what does it look like in your life?
Ooh, this is a good question. Okay, how do I be a good friend?
Yeah, like what does that look like? Because sometimes people struggle with being a friend. Right. I know I struggle with that.
I've struggled with it.
And it's like, okay, how do I reciprocate being a good friend to someone who needs that?
So I would go off the most frequent or the most recent friendship that I've just obtained over the last 8 months because it's so new. Yeah. Never knew her before. And something I've realized that helped us and helped me be a healthy friend and a good friend is always communicating. So literally the moment, me and her always say this, the moment you feel something, clearly if you're like at a lunch with people, you can't be like, hey, what you just said made me like really angry, let's talk about it. Right. But timing, yes. But when I get home, I can give her a phone call and hey, I just want to talk about something you said. So always communicating and being real, like, and I think it's also with verbiage, because there's a wisdom and an understanding of you did this, you made me feel that way, you're wrong for that.
Pointing fingers, like, I'm gonna be offended and everything.
And then a whole argument starts for no reason.
Yeah.
So it's also saying, hey, I just felt this type of way. You said this, and I don't know. You might know, and you can talk about why you know it made you feel that way. For me, a lot of the times, I'm like, I really don't know where this came from.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling this type of way.
Right.
And we'll talk about it. And then it ends up being an amazing conversation. For the most part, it ends up in tears. Like, it's so good.
Girls are so
emotional. It's ridiculous. But communicating and then uplifting. The biggest thing a friend can do,
I love that,
is stop nitpicking and stop complaining.
Yeah.
And catch yourself. And it's not, you don't do this off in one day.
Right.
It takes work. And it even takes me saying, hey, Aaliyah, I'm working on this. I want to stop complaining or stop whining about stuff that happened. Can you stop it when it happens? And you might forget the first time.
That's good.
You might be totally invested the first time I do it, but then you're going to remember that.
Yeah.
And then the next time you're going to be like, hey, why are you complaining?
Yeah.
So it's also vocalizing, like, what you need to stop at, what you're working on, what you need help with. And that's learning yourself. That's why singleness is fun, because you get to learn yourself. And I learned that I complain about a lot of things, and I'm like, I don't want to complain anymore. Like, complaining is gross and it's icky, and it's like, get over yourself. Like,
it's not about
wah.
Grow up.
But your feelings are valid, and it's okay to talk to your friends and to hear your friends out, and listening. Oh my gosh, listening is so big.
Because if I was a friend who only talked about me, I'm like, when can I get a word in?
Right. Or when I'm like, Aaliyah, this boy just dumped me.
Girl, let me tell you about this boy.
Yes, I hate when people do that. And I'm like, I want to hear about it, but I'm like,
I'm talking about me right now.
Let me finish telling you why he hurt my feelings when he dumped me, okay? But then it's, please tell me your experience. Please encourage me with what you walk through, but hear me.
Yeah.
I want you to hear me first, because all my life I haven't been heard.
That's good.
So it's like, I want you to hear me. And that's God. Like, we talk to God, and he hears us. That's why one of the reasons we love him. Like, God, you listen to me every time, no matter what I'm whining or complaining about.
Yeah.
So a good friend, if I'm exhibiting the love of God, then I'm going to hear you.
For sure.
I'd say that's, I don't know all the ones I said.
You said
forgot.
You said encouragement, communicate,
encourage, listen,
and to the side.
Here in my heart. That was my worship audition.
You made it.
Yes.
Go to American Idol.
Yes.
You made it. But you talked a lot about.
I did.
No.
That's a wound.
I said that wrong.
No, I'm kidding.
I didn't mean you talked a lot. I meant to say you shared a lot.
Yeah.
You shared a lot of good things. You shared about how to be a good friend. You shared about how to be content in your singleness, and how whenever you are single, you have an opportunity to work on yourself before you get in a relationship with someone else. You even talked about how to fight the temptation to sin with being accountable and having mentors that'll help you through this sin, but also not just being accountable, but being honest.
Yes, honest.
Being honest. Honesty
so key.
is the key, man.
And the crazy thing is, when you become honest with your people, it really helps you become honest with God. And I know it's like you want to start honest with God first, but I'm like, in my life, I realized, like, the more I became honest with who I was sharing myself, like my heart with, sharing what I was walking, like what I was struggling with, I would go home and I'd be like, well, God, like, you know what, let's talk about it. And I'd be able to start praying for it and realizing how to pray for it because I was so honest.
Yeah. I love that.
So good.
You are a powerhouse. I'm telling you. Maddy's 22. She loves cats, and she is single. Yes, I really just did that to you.
That was Nick.
I did that because I love her. But Maddy, I want to thank you for coming on our podcast.
So much fun.
The Outlook. Again, I hope to see you soon.
I hope to be back.
Yes, you will be back. But for all my listeners out there, thank y'all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. We appreciate you tuning in. So guys, we will see you all next time on The Outlook. Peace.